All right, it's going to be a tutorial on a fantastic caddis pupa imitation. This is the Holy Grail Caddis. That's kind of what we're going to have here at the end of it. Really, really buggy fly. It's got a little weight in it too with the bead, but it's not something that's going to plummet you down to the bottom. It's going to get you down, kind of get right in the middle of that water column there. It's so buggy that it just kind of, doesn't have as much water resistance, but that's kind of what you want. I fish this quite a bit. I don't usually use it as an anchor fly, but I have it on as a second fly pretty often, and it just gets hammered. So in the vise, I've got an ahrex FW 541. I usually do these in a size 10 with a gold bead on there, and I'll kind of show you how I get this set up here. So I do these a little different, not much different. There's really just one little extra step. So I got a little strip of 0.015 lead-free wire here. So I'm going to get going with about 6 wraps of that. Come in here with my pliers, just rip that right off. Tighten it up a little bit. Now, usually what you want with the Holy Grail is you want a little bit of space. The bead is not tucked up against the eye. You want a little bit of space. I like to add a little bit of extra space. I have my bead set back a little bit further than you'd normally see it on this fly, and I do that for a specific reason. So I'm getting that wire tucked right up into that bead, making it a little bit harder to move. Here's my pliers, that'll help. I didn't think I locked that wire in so hard, but here we are. Let's move that up a little bit. Let me get the tag end finished up so that's out of the way. All right, so get that bead right up onto that wire. And spacing-wise, that actually is pretty good. That's pretty much right where I want it. So where you would normally have it, just back a little bit. And I got some red thread here. I'm using red UTC 70. I'm going to get that going. I'm going to lock in my weight. And then I'm just going to go back and forth here and build up a little bit of a thread taper. You don't really need a perfect taper because of the buggy body on this. Let's get that tag out of there. You don't really need to be perfect. I like flies that are just really, really, really buggy, not only because I think they look cool, but they cover up a lot of mistakes. And they're easier to tie because you can go a little bit quicker. All right, so what I'm going to do is just take my whip finisher here, just get a couple of turns there. I'm going to take that off. This step's not particularly necessary, but it does help a little bit. I'm going to transfer this to the front, and this is just me with my OCD again. You could easily just take a thread pass over the top of that bead and be perfectly fine, but I don't want to see that bit of thread. So I'm just going to come in front here and build up a little bit of a tapered thread dam. And that's really just going to lock that bead in place with the weight behind it and the thread in front of it. You can just go and tie your fly and not worry about that bead moving on you at all. So just put a quick hitch in there. You're going to cover all that with dubbing, so it doesn't matter if it looks good or where it needs to be. Let's get that out of there. All right, let's get back going here on the back side. So the first material we're going to tie in is our ribbing material. We got some of this flat pearl tinsel. All right, we'll get the tip of that kind of slipped in there, get that secured. And I'm just going to hold this tight as I work my way down. Keep that where I want it. Thread back up to the top. I know I'm going multiple layers here and building up a little bit of bulk, but that's really not that big of a problem because I am going to fold my thread over and tie in a dubbing loop. Now, here's a step where I really kind of got to point out, this is not absolutely necessary. If you want, you can simply just dub the body. Make a noodle right on your thread, wrap it right up, and just do it that way. That's not a problem at all. I like the dubbing noodle for a very specific reason. First of all, that dubbing noodle makes it look a little bit more buggy. That's the look that I like. And also, you're ribbing this with tinsel. All right, back at it. The fire alarm in my house just started going off. So anyway, like I was saying, you're ribbing this fly with tinsel, which, you know, is just not something that is really known for durability. So not only is it going to give you the buggy look, but doing this with a dubbing loop is also going to add a little bit of strength, because you've got all of that dubbing locked right up in the thread, and it's going to be a lot more durable. Also, if you just kind of dub your thread, you know, the more fish you catch on it, and trust me, you will catch a lot of fish on this fly. You know, little by little, the dubbing can kind of come off. I haven't had many flies break apart or do a lot of the things that, you know, people claim that they do because of trout teeth. I think that's a little overrated, but one thing that can happen is if you have a really buggy material that's dubbed up heavily, you know, you're going to lose a little bit of that every time you catch a fish, and that can wear down to the thread sometimes. So it's really hard to have that happen if you use a dubbing loop. One of the many reasons why I like it. Only downside to a dubbing loop, I know I'm just kind of blabbing while I'm filling in some time here, loading this up, is you lose a little bit of control. It's easy when you got a nice dubbing noodle there that you can kind of control every aspect of it, but not a big deal. All right, so just give your tool a spin here. Get that all ready to go. I got a little chunk of guard hairs up here I don't really want. Once that's spun up nice and tight, you can wrap it as is, or you can kind of do what I do. I like these English hackle pliers. They got a real nice grip on them. We'll bring our thread up here. We'll just use our rotary feature here. We'll get that spinning. It's not a straight shank hook, so it's a little tougher to wrap this with the rotary, but it is a lot easier when you're filming, so we'll do it this way. Now, when you're dubbing, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure that you don't go all the way to the bead. You're going to want to leave a little bit of space there. I know it's hard to see that right now because of all the fur in the way, but I didn't carry that all the way to the bead. I'm tying this off, leaving a little bit of space. Let's get that out of there. There. All right, get everything kind of teased back, and we're good. All right, take this ribbing material and just start taking even wraps up the body. Evenly space them apart. Mash some of that dubbing down. There we go. Yeah, this is a heck of a fish catcher. I use about 3 different pupa imitations, and this is definitely one of my primary ones. So I like to have everything kind of stroked back here, so we'll take our dubbing brush here, get everything pushed back. So the reason why you wanted to leave that little space here is we're going to take some of this pheasant tail here, rip off about, I don't know, decent sized chunk, more than 10 fibers. And we'll make a little bit of effort here to kind of join them together. Get them right up next to each other. We'll snip that off. Get a nice straight edge on it. And the way I do this is pretty simple. I'm just going to take this and just lay it flat on top. And a nice loose wrap just to gather it all. And then just kind of let that thread, as you hold it, kind of get it on top of the fly. Pull the tag over like that and then tighten it down. Now we just got to fill that gap in a little bit with some extra dubbing. And as far as the dubbing goes, you can use they sell the hairline stuff right in a package. You can get it, but honestly, I think the best thing when you're using hair is just get yourself a good hare's mask. That's what you get out of it. Real good buggy dubbing. And if you don't have one, get yourself a real cheap coffee grinder for your desk. I mean, you can get them really cheap. You don't need a fancy one. I think I paid like $6 for mine or something like that. So just cut a bunch of fibers off the mask, throw them in the coffee grinder for about 10 seconds, and you're good to go. So we're just going to fill this in here. And again, here's another unnecessary step. If you want, you could easily just cross your thread right over like that. No issue whatsoever doing that. But again, I get a little irritated with this sometimes. Pull that right off. And I'll start that over here on the other side. Definitely unnecessary, but I don't know. I get neurotic with that kind of stuff sometimes. So we're going to pull this over the top. Loose wrap, gather everything. Bring tighter wraps up towards the bead. Snip that off. Clean up the head a little bit. And we're still in business. Give that a little bit more on the new dubbing. All right, so what I tend to do is, I said before that I kind of like having the that little extra space here in the front, and the reason why is because I'm going to come in here with one extra little shot of dubbing, and I'm just going to kind of lightly dub up behind the bead. And what I'm trying to do there is I'm trying to create a little bit of a dubbing ramp so that when I put my soft hackle on, it flows along the back of the fly a little bit better. See, a lot of these patterns, when you look at them, they have the feather kind of butted up a little bit closer to the bead, closer to the eye, and just kind of creates a look that I'm not a particularly big fan of. So I'm just going to put that little dubbing ball there, get that teased back. So for the partridge, go in and select yourself a feather of appropriate size. And when you go through the bag, there's certainly quite a few of them in there that are all kinds of different sizes. And all this webby stuff here at the bottom, we're going to pull all that right off. And then when I tie it in by the tip, I'm going to wrap it this way. So I want all of these fibers here on the top. I want to pull all them off. And do this step carefully because you can split the stem, and that'll give you a little bit of a problem. Stroke all the rest of them back, and that's kind of what you're going to end up having. So that little pinch point there, we're going to take that, put it right here at the eye, get that tied in, and then we're going to fold that back, get everything tease towards the back of the fly, and we'll come in here, cut off our excess, and we're just about ready to wrap this up. One more wrap just to kind of tighten it up. You should be fine, but you know, I've had a couple instances where you pull your soft hackle right out, and you got to redo it. So one extra little wrap kind of locks it in, and we're just going to go 1, 2. Get our thread slipped right in there. Whoops. And then stroke everything back. Get a nice clean head on there. We'll snip that off. That's pretty much it. The only step here now is to come in here and get all this cleaned up. Pretty prominent head on this fly, so we'll come in here, we'll give it a quick whip finish here. And that is going to be, for the most part, what we're looking at here. One thing that I really kind of like to do, any fly that's got a prominent head on this, especially with red or orange thread, I do like to add a little bit of cement. So I'm going to put some Solares on there, and I got to do this carefully. I caught the tip of my brush in a little bit of sunlight here, so this is rock solid right now. That actually worked out a little bit better than I thought it would. Get that cured up as quick as I can. I thought for sure I was going to put a massive glob on there, but we are good. That worked out much better than I thought. So that's what we're looking at here. That is your Holy Grail Caddis. Fantastic pupa pattern. Not difficult to tie. You know, just move the bead back a little bit. I think that makes a big difference. But great fly. Use it all the time. One of the probably 3 primary pupa imitations that I throw pretty much all the time. I've been tying them up pretty much all weekend. I've got a bunch of them here, loading the box right up. So it's a great fly, really buggy. You'll catch a ton of fish on it. Any questions, comments, anything, just throw them in the comments. I'll respond as soon as I can.